Hey guys, so today I wanted to share my story, my weight loss journey. I wanted to give you guys a little background on myself um and why I feel like that I can talk about losing weight because I've done it so much in my life. I grew up as a chubby kid, so this might be a little bit long of a video, and we'll see. I might have to do a part two. But just to give you a little background on myself, I grew up as early as I can remember, and I start remembering kind of in kindergarten and first grade. And I know some people have memories before that, but I don't know why, I just don't. But so I remember being in first grade, second grade, especially third grade, being chubby and having a perm. And I was doing Pop Warner cheerleading, and so I was, especially third grade, I was really starting to become aware of the fact that I was chubby, because we had to try out to be on the cheerleading team. And even though it was for younger kids, it wasn't a team, or it wasn't for a high school or a middle school even, but we still had to try out. And I knew that I was chubby, and I knew that I probably wasn't the best cheerleader, but what little girl at that age doesn't want to be a cheerleader? So I tried out, and I noticed that I got put on the team with all the other chubby girls. And so I was like, okay, yeah, so they put us all on a team. And so, it was clear looking around me at the time that I got put on the team with, either it was either that we were chubby, or that we were kind of uncoordinated, or what else would it have been? Just, you know, it wasn't the best of the best, you know what I'm saying? And then there was the team of all of the, like, quote unquote perfect girls that were on, a couple of the top teams, and it was like, okay, yeah. No offense to any of the girls that were on my team, because they're all great people. It's just that, we weren't considered like the top of the top or the best of the best. So it was then that I really started to think, okay, I'm not the best, maybe I'm not the best looking, I'm not the skinniest, not the most coordinated. And I really became aware of that, but I was just like, I'm going to embrace this though. I'm going to embrace being on this team and not be embarrassed. And we still went to competition, and, it was fun. And we got to watch football and cheer and really feel girly, and feel like, I'm a cheerleader. Yeah. So that was really cool. But I do remember we had to wear the skirts, and I remember them measuring us for it. And it was like, oh, I had to get the biggest size on the team. And I also had a perm at this time, and braces. So yeah, it was kind of a mess. I don't know why I wanted a perm, but it's like when I get something in my mind, I have to make it happen. And so for some reason I wanted curly hair. So I have red hair, and so I had a curly red fro, and my hair was cut up to here. When I got a perm, it went up to here. So gorgeous, I tell you. That's beside the point. So yeah, so I grew up chubby and tall, and I'm referencing my notes here, so don't forget anything. During my cheerleading days, I decided I was fat, and I would compare myself to the team that had like the popular girls on it and the pretty girls, and so I started really becoming aware of my body, and I started dieting and trying to starve myself. And I don't think I was aware of what anorexia was at the time. But, and I did not have anorexia, but one time I went for like 3 days with eating only an apple, thinking that would make me skinny. And number one, it didn't work. Number two, which is probably the most important thing, I went out on the field. I was a base because I was one of the heavier girls on the team. And I, pretty much blacked out, and I almost dropped the girl. And it was the kind of blackout where like my vision just kind of blacked out, and I stumbled, and I basically made the whole formation like drop. I think we caught the girl, but it was scary, and I didn't tell anybody around me, and I pretty much got reprimanded for what happened, and I just didn't tell them. I didn't want to tell them, but they made me kind of sit out for the rest of the for the rest of the game because I was just shaking, and I couldn't tell anybody because I didn't want them to know. So driving home with my parents that day, I told them, I didn't want to tell my coach or anybody on my team, but I told my parents, I was like, I've only had an apple for 3 days, and I probably hadn't had much water to drink or anything like that. So they were like, oh my gosh. So I think we went to eat Italian after that, and believe me, I'm sure that I pigged out. So I'm making this such a long story, but at 16, I remember going to the beach and I tried diet pills. I remember taking Dexatrim because even though at 14 or 15, I actually joined the swim team, and I'd swim for an hour every day, not with my high school, but with my neighborhood. And I lost the weight, and I went from being like crazy made fun of with my glasses, and no longer had a perm in middle school, but I went from, you know, still overweight in middle school and elementary school to getting down to a very normal weight for my height in high school. And so it's no longer being made fun of for my weight, but I still wanted to be skinnier. And so after the swim team, I only did it for 1 season. I would notice, oh, I think maybe I gained like 10 pounds. And so I was still able to wear a bikini, and it looked fine thinking back at that time, but you know, it was never enough for me. So I remember going to the beach and taking Dexatrim and diet pills and stuff like that, and really not wanting to eat, just eating lettuce, you know, and not letting myself have a good time or feel confident. So I kept that weight off for the most part, give or take like 10 pounds, until I was about 20 years old, and I moved to California to be an actress. I was an actress my whole life. I was in plays and you name it, singing and dancing and acting, and in high school and middle school and even elementary school. So when I moved out to California, I went out there and I shared an apartment with 2 other girls, and I was broke. I worked at Starbucks, and I was going to Playhouse West, which was it's probably still there, but it was a playhouse out there, a really good school that teaches the Meisner method, and it was awesome, and it was great, and I had a great time, and I learned so much out there, and I had so much fun. But I was broke and I did not eat well. So I stayed out there for about 6 months and got really homesick and came home, back to Georgia. And when I came back, my mom was like, whoa, you gained weight. So I had gained, I don't know, 10 or 15 pounds while I was out there. And people thought maybe I would lose weight from being out there, but I didn't. I gained weight because I was not eating well. I got married at 23, and I was working at a gym actually at the front desk. Sorry, there's a watch going off that is hiding somewhere in this room that I don't know where it is. And so I think I'm gonna make a part 2 because we're already at 8 minutes. I hope I'm not boring y'all with my story, but all these little details kind of, I don't know, I feel like I have to tell them. But I got married at 23, and every year after I got married, I guess from just, you know, being happily married, I suppose, I gained about 10 pounds. And in 2007, I was working as a makeup artist for Clinique, and I was scheduled to have sinus surgery, and they weighed me before the surgery, and it said 200 pounds. And I was like, no way. I was like, your scale's broken. No, I weigh 180. And they weighed me again, and I weighed 200. So I was shocked, and I was dismayed. Or in dismay, I guess I should say. But I was 200 pounds. So I'm going to stop here and start recording my next video in part 2. So I'll see you there.